Moving forward, visual cues are reception of light and variation of light. So it is the ability to interpret surrounding environment using light as the factor. Yeah. So we perceive and see objects because in human light is an important factor. We visually perceive many things and this is the primary factor that we use, followed by sound. Okay, so sound and light are the most important things for us. So when we see something, it enters through our cornea. Okay, then it hits to our retina. It is interpreted with respect to brain, where first after hitting the retina, it will transfer from optical nerves in a neuronal system. Then it will go to brain, to our you know visual cortex, visual complex, and it will be interpreted with respect to what we have in our stores or in our minds. So the visual spectrum of light will be entering through slits in different organisms like in lizards and cats, and through cornea, through different modification of lenses. Then it will be received by photosensitive membrane. It might be retina, it might be ocelli in case of insects. They have different ocelli. Then there is transduction by photoreceptive cells. After it is received by photosensitive membrane, it will be transduced or it will be converted to a neuronal signals by photoreceptive cells. In our body, we have rods and cone cells. Similarly, in different organisms, there are different kind of rhodopsins and different kind of proteins with respect to the photoreceptive cells. Then these proteins or these cells convert the light energy into a chemical signal or neural impulse, which is transferred with respect to the nerve cells and is transmitted into the visual cortex. So visual cortex is different in different organisms. Then it is interpreted into visual cues or visual signals. So these visual signals are also known as perception, we call as eyesight, we call as vision. So that differs with respect to different definitions. So different type of visual cues include gestures like a tail wagging, my hand movement. All these are non-verbal communication, which it doesn't include any form of verbal situations or auditory signals. It includes movement of different form of body parts. Okay, so I'm moving something, I'm moving my head, I'm moving my hand, my tail, my ears. So these kind of movement of body parts are called gestures. Then there is facial expression. Facial expression usually includes the movement of facial muscles, which is prominent in case of mammals. Okay, so it moves with respect to the signals. So it shows emotional states, it shows variation in intensity of different ideas or motivation. Apart from that, then there is gaze following. Gaze following is rare in some cases, but it is pretty prominent in social animals, where like if someone is seeing at something, gazing at something or staring at something, we tend to stare at that as well. Okay, so we see the other organism or other people or other person seeing that, staring at it, so we also follow the person's gaze. Okay, so gaze is the point where it is staring. So if someone is staring at a particular point for a long time, we'll also watch it. We'll try to see where he or she is staring at. Okay, so we are following the gaze. So that sort of thing is called gaze following, and it is pretty prominent to address what the other person is seeing. So what are you seeing? So that is what gazing is. Then there is color change. Color change is pretty prominent in many organisms. It is a virtue of the chromatophores. So it is a virtue of the chromatophores that the different organisms have on their skin. It might be iridescent. It might be different cells that changes light reception with respect to the mood or intensity of their respective behavior. Okay, so chameleons are pretty smart. In a manner, they state emotions by changing color. They use it for camouflage as well as usually to imply what they're feeling. Okay, so if a chameleon is changing color rapidly and showing different patterns, then it is trying to say. So if you see a chameleon with multiple colors like a yellow and black, so it is trying to say something that I'm angry. That sort of interaction is there. Okay, so these are few forms where they show visual signals. So they change color with respect to the camouflaging or with respect to saying something. And then there is morphological shift. Morphological shifts are seen as a periodical shift in morphological characters that may be like plumage, okay, breeding plumage, wintering plumage, So all these are signals as well as are indicator that there is change happening. So breeding plumage tells that I'm available for breeding, okay, or I'm going to try for breeding. That's it. Then there is bioluminescence. Bioluminescence, as you know, refers to the fact that different organisms can produce light in their organic manner in their body or biologically. Hence, they are called bioluminescence. So, bioluminescence is a virtue of different kind of enzymes and proteins, usually called as luciferin and luciferase. So, these enzymes break down proteins and produces light. So, they are prominently seen in different kind of fireflies, algae, diatoms, and different organisms as well. So different fireflies use it to show a mating pattern as well as to communicate with females, rival males, as well as to some organisms use it to lure prey like anglerfish. Okay, so different functions are there for bioluminescence.